How would you navigate in-person conversations when someone asks if you take insurance, especially when the question is followed by comments about how care should be accessible or how unfortunate it is that more providers don't take insurance? It can feel a little uncomfortable in the moment, and I'd love to learn how to respond with clarity and confidence without feeling the need to over-explain. Do you have any go-to phrases or ways to frame your private pay model that feel natural and aligned with your values? It's a little bit tricky because we do get that message in our training, and it's the message that there's something wrong with you if you don't operate in network. And so we had to do our own unconditioning, right, in order to be able to feel good about what we're doing in terms of providing out-of-network care. Because the truth is, no one sees an out-of-network provider and pays money out of pocket if they could get the same thing under insurance. They would just get the same thing under insurance. Like, patients aren't stupid. They're not like, well, I just feel like lighting a bunch of money on fire. They're doing it because they're getting something that they perceive as really valuable that they couldn't otherwise get. And the way I explain it is we need all kinds of providers. I'm not saying not everyone should not go out of network. That the system would break if 0% of psychiatrists were in network. But that's not what we're talking about, and that's not what's happening in practice. The vast majority of psychiatrists are operating under insurance, but with really severe limitations put on them by the organizations or private equity firms or whatever, the insurance companies themselves, about how they can practice. You can kind of think of like that provider as like they're still under that conditioning, because I guarantee you they would prefer to be you if they could wrap their brain around it, but they just aren't there yet. They either don't think it's possible or they just can't get over their own beliefs that they would be wrong, or their own internal guilt. So they're suffering and dealing with burnout, and the idea that someone else is like not doing that can be jarring. I mean, it can be like activate some cognitive dissonance, right? So I always start from that place, which is a place of some compassion, and that when they're not really judging me, they're judging themselves if they were to want to do something like that. And so your goal is not to change anyone's mind. I just more try to explain, again, to not over-explain, but they're imagining me as like a symbol for something, and I just try to demonstrate, no, I'm just a person with my own foibles and flaws who made what I felt like was the best situation for me and for my patients. Am I 100% certain it's the exact, always in every situation, the right decision? I'm not. But I feel confident I'm doing the best I can, and that's what I need to do to be able to properly care for my patients. So, I just may say something like, oh, I totally hear you. Trust me, I didn't come to the decision lightly of going out of network. I know that it does, decrease access to my services being out of network, but I was in an insurance model in the past, and I was so burnt out and seeing patients every 10 minutes and only able to prescribe medications and not really feeling so discouraged I could never get to the root cause of things with my patients. And so, private pay isn't a perfect model, but I at least feel like I'm able to use my skill set and do something valuable for my patients. But we need all kinds of clinicians, and I'm really glad that you're in network, and I hope you still consider me as a referral source. Kind of a pitch like that's like a feedback sandwich almost. You have your little piece in the middle, but it starts off accommodating, it ends accommodating, just so there's not hard feelings. But you also have to let go of the idea that you need to convince others. It can be hard because we all have our own internal doubts at times. The confidence almost has to come from internally, that you feel really secure and that you did not come to the decision lightly yourself.